Hello and welcome. Welcome to the 30-day self-care challenge for nurses. We are on week 4. The theme is fuel. My name is Lyn Toomey, health and happiness specialist, owner of Ultimate Healing Journey, and also nurse of over 30 years. So this week we'll be and have been talking about fuel and how learning how to gauge our internal battery is so important to help us with our self-care and resiliency. So today I have a speaker, Dr. Maria Sarah, who is a positive psychologist and expert on resiliency, and also one of the teachers that I've had when I learned about positive psychology, the science of happiness. So Maria, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Debbie, and thank you for what you're creating on behalf of nurses everywhere.
Yeah, it's just so important during uncertain times, during stressful times, and even just during life, trying to navigate life in many unexpected ways and really knowing how to bring awareness to this internal battery, the fuel that we have, bringing awareness to it, accepting it, and also attending it. So that way we are reminded to take care of ourselves, not just others, because nurses, we're so used to doing things for others that we put ourselves aside. So Maria, I have a question. Actually, I have some questions for you. What is and how can we as nurses, how can we fuel our mind and bodies so that we can be at our best? Can you give us some ideas?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we know about the most resilient people, and this is not just in the time of COVID, but in general, as you said, the ordinary ups and downs and unexpected twists and turns of life. Mm-hmm. Resilient folk know to build in respite, breaks, recovery, right? And this falls under the territory of self-care. In other words, we don't take on the mantle of having to be there for everybody else every minute of the day, all the time. And by the way, try to do it perfectly. We give ourselves permission to take a break. Now, the science of positive psychology has helped us understand that creating what we call micro moments or small moments of positivity actually re-energizes us, increases a little bit of hope and optimism, often softens our experience of the day. So whatever is painful in the day is still present, but it's less painful. And I mean that literally physically and psychologically. So what do I mean by a micro moment of positivity? We all are hardwired for positive states like contentment or laughter or kindness or generosity or appreciation. Creativity. Last night, my 24-year-old and I made these terrible but beautiful posters. We heart BMC. BMC is our medical institution nearby, and we went there in the middle of the night and put them on the emergency room window. And just doing that together was respite for both she and I from the pressures of our day. So building in micro moments of positivity. And what that means, especially at a time like this, is permission to let go for a little while. Yeah. Permission to take a walk, permission to watch Game of Thrones reruns if that makes you happy, permission to create art, even if you're not an artist, permission to have positive moments, to fuel you to go back into the work you're here to do.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. I know me at home, my husband working partially remotely and my kids being at home, it's so wonderful to just sit down and at the dinner table and just share, what went well with you today, even though we've been in the house together. Just asking what went well and, just constantly having that looking for the good mindset, still accepting what's going on, but not focusing on it. And sharing with my husband how, as parents, it's so important for us to be role models of that groundedness and to be human, permission to be human, right? And if we are upset or just don't understand what's going on in the world, allowing our kids to see that, but also giving that space for our children to see that, you know, oh, my parents look okay. You
Right.
should be okay.
Right. Right. Exactly. I love that. What went well today? And a beautiful practice that helps us do this is right before you go to sleep, just to ask yourself what was the best moment of the day and savor that. So that as you enter a time of rest, you're in a place where your neurochemistry literally is more relaxed, a little bit more hopeful, and more at peace, right?
Yeah.
Savoring the good is absolutely crucial, and giving ourselves time to take a break during the day is crucial.
Yes, definitely. I was actually using that skill last night when I was ready for bed. I was physically tired, and all of a sudden this little whisper of concern just kind of made it through that wavelength. And I said, nope, I'm going to think about what went well today. I'm going to think about the good. And before you know it, it was time to wake up the next day. Because I was able to switch that mindset, and I wasn't going to let that little whisper of concern to ruin my quality of sleep, because sleep is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So giving ourselves permission is also a big one for nurses. Permission
Yeah.
to
So
take care of ourselves.
a number of permissions are really important at a time like this. So permission to take care of ourselves, permission to take a break, even if it's literally, even if it's in the middle of the workday, a 1-minute break to step outside and just smell the fresh air, right? Also permission to be human, which means to feel what you feel, think what you think. Everybody, you and I were talking before, there seems to be a minute or a chunk of time every day where we feel overwhelmed or angry or sad or sorrowful. Permission to feel what we feel, knowing that feelings rise and fall, right? They ebb and flow, right? But also permission, a huge driver for resilience is connection. And what I mean by connection is, and nurses are often, their field is relational. They're always with other people. So we think we're being connected, right? But what I mean by connected in terms of cultivating resilience is connection to the people who elevate you. You know, to take the time to have that 5-minute phone call with your best friend, or the one relative who really understands and loves and appreciates you, or to take the time to go on that, you know, socially distant walk with your closest friend. Connection is a driver for optimism. It's a driver for vitality. And at a time like this, it is absolutely mandatory, because we are all in this crazy world of, for medical staff, you know, being super, super, super engaged and involved and managing multiple layers of stress. And then for many of us to go home to home environments that are different than they've been. We've got spouses and partners working at home, kids not in school, right? And so there's a lot of relational energy stuff happening. But for self-care purposes, we need to connect to the people who really elevate, support, and lift us.
Yes, I agree. That is so key. I'm so glad you said that, because during times of chronic stress, burnout, compassionate fatigue, everything that you could name under the sun, right? We even the best people can have that moment of ugliness because of stress. We may say the wrong thing. We may give somebody a sneer, or we may not allow that person in traffic pass us. You know, it really is so important to be aware of those moments and to give ourselves that permission to be human, to be reactive, and also to kind of give ourselves like maybe a purposeful pause. Like, okay, where did that come from? Okay, I must need X, Y, and Z. I must need to think about family, or, connect with this person who's going to re-energize me, or maybe do an artwork with my kids, or maybe cook something, or maybe just go for a walk. I'm going to give myself a timeout. Permission to do all that, using any type of positive energy so that we can kind of come back and be at our best. And Maria, I'm sure you'll agree, our best is going to be different every day, every moment. It's going to be so different, isn't it?
Yeah. And that is a wonderful driving question, to wake up in the morning and say, who might I be at my best today at home? Who might I be at my best today in terms of taking care of myself? And who might I be at my best at work? And we know that inspirational questions that drive us toward a vision of what we call in psychology the ideal self, or the best self, do cultivate vitality, and they cultivate engagement and collaboration. We feel better about being in the world when we are activating from our better selves. So just even having the question, and not taking the time to write down the answer, but just having the question is in and of itself a driver for greater resilience. And you're right, it's going to look different every single day, and that's okay. I want to say one thing, because I know this medical population so well, having worked, at some of the major cancer treatment centers on the East Coast for many years. This notion of who might I be at my best does not imply perfection. It doesn't mean we have to be perfect. Right? It just means using or leading from the qualities in us that are our better qualities, like kindness or patience or humor or generosity or judgment, perseverance, right? Our character strengths.
Exactly. Well said. Thank you. So now, as far as other skills that you think would help nurses who are always on the go. And in meditation this morning, I was trying to think, what great questions shall I ask? But the question that comes to mind is, nurses, people in the healthcare profession, we know what we should be doing. And yet we are not practicing what we preach. I've been guilty of that. I mean, that equated to me, comfort eating or drinking a glass of wine. And then before you know it, half the bottle is gone. Like a lot of mindless comfort habits that can really take us off the track to being happy with ourselves. So can you give us some skills that can help these nurses, us nurses, who are always doing, and when we do have the time to sit down and try to rest, what we like to do is just a quick fix, maybe going on Amazon. I'm talking for myself. Going on Amazon, what can I buy that's less than $20? Or, what can I eat right now because I deserve it, because I missed a meal, 2 meals. So what can we do for ourselves so that way we can just remember to give ourselves that micro moments of positivity during the day?
So the first thing is to ask what we call ask a better question. So not like, how can I make myself feel better in the moment, but what will really nourish me? I know for myself, it nourishes me to go outside for a walk. And can I give myself permission to just do a 5-minute walk? It doesn't have to be a massive hike, just 5 minutes, right? I know that it nourishes me to play with my daughter's dog because the dog forces me to play, and that is a huge break and distraction from stress. I know that I'm better off reading than I am eating, So what is it that really deeply nourishes me is a good question.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. Power of the question.
Questions are doorways. They change where we head, right? They change the universe we're in. So if I'm going to ask myself, God, what would make me feel better right now? I might go for the chocolate or the gin and tonic or the, what was the other, what was the other distractor that you mentioned? I don't know, television or
shopping.
Stopping. Thank you. How about that, right? And, we know that those things do help us feel better for a second. They don't last, right? But what is truly nourishing for me, those are sustaining, right? So, you know what, under times of stress, I often recommend that people like take a moment tonight, right before you go to bed, and write out the list. What are the things that really, truly make me feel better, that truly nourish me? Is it a bath? Is it a walk? Is it a video chat with a dear friend or a sibling? Is it like me doing ridiculous, crazy, silly art, but art that has meaning to it, I build puzzles. I mean, I just love jigsaw puzzles. It soothes me. I put nice music on. It's like a beautiful ritual for me, right?
Oh, I love that. I love that. So the power of the question, it was actually something that I was thinking about yesterday while I was walking, how, we learned how questions can really create our reality. If I was to ask, what more can go wrong? What more can go wrong in this world? What else does the news have to say about, X, Y, and Z? Who else is, what other country is suffering right now? Our obedient mind will answer that, right? And find the answers for that particular question. But if we could also embrace both the end and say, okay, this is what's going on, and what else can go right? Well, right now here in New England, it's springtime and the sun is gorgeous, and my husband's home and he took my kids out for a hike, and they are together and they're getting the fresh air. And later on, I'll go for a walk with my parents. So, looking for the good, asking ourselves, what else is going well? What does nature have in store for me right now? Because I enjoy seeing the breeze. I enjoy seeing people walking and smiling and waving. I enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so important. It's so important. So I want to ask you, what do you do? What do you do when you feel like, okay, I've tried everything. I'm an expert in this field. Give me strength. What do you do to help fuel that battery? What do you do to kind of help you get to the next moment?
Yeah. Well, I'm not shy about trying everything, like all the tools and strategies. And every time there's a stressor in my life, what works is different, right? So, during my divorce, getting up early in the morning and dancing to MTV videos, that really helped me. After the loss of my younger brother, a sudden sort of cancer diagnosis and pretty rapid death, I found that gratitude, practicing appreciation really helped me. In this moment, what is helping me the most, because believe me, I'm trying all my past psych tools, all my resilience tools. But the thing that helps me the most right now is meaning, remembering the meaning of my life, that I chose this work because ultimately I really believe that my job is to cultivate hope. That is my job, and I'm sticking to it. And whenever I find a way to make that live for myself, I do better that day or that afternoon or that hour even, So to really revisit for me right now, meaning has been helpful. But everybody's different. What works for each of us today versus tomorrow versus next month is different. So again, permission to really think about, what is it that nourishes me? What is it that energizes me? And what is it that calms me down? Those are the three sort of driving questions.
Very, very good. So as far as you suggesting earlier, creating that list.
Yeah.
Because in that list are the answers.
Yeah.
Right? Or potential answers. We could keep on adding.
Or just good ideas worth trying, right?
Yes.
We are all just making this up now, right now. I mean, I can quote you all the research on resilience, what cultivates resilience.
Right.
And some of that is going to be useful for people and some of it not. What we're making up is the formula that works for us right now. But those three sort of broad categories, what is it that nourishes me? What is it that energizes and inspires me? And what is it that calms me down? Those are the three sort of territories we want to be paying attention to.
Very good point. Very good point. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with us.
You are welcome.
I want to, from the bottom of our hearts, from the nursing profession, I want to thank you for, being here with us and sharing your knowledge and expertise. And I want to ask if there's anybody who wants to learn more about you. How can they learn more about you? How can they contact you? Do you have a website?
So my website is just my name, mariasirwa.com, and I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. Again, just my name, nothing fancy, and easily accessible those ways.
Yeah. And you have many wonderful YouTube videos there on to learn more about different ways to become resilient. So Maria, thank you so much for being here. My name is Debbie Lyn Toomey, Health and Happiness Specialist. Nurses, you rock, you got this.
Thank you, nurses. Thank you.
Thank you. And remember, nurses, take care of you.